Okay, it's Matt in Brooklyn.
Week 3.
Yep, number 3 of the Walker Talks. Welcome to them. Um, this week is actually really packed with a lot of stuff that we need to talk about, or that we want to talk about. So hopefully it doesn't run too long, but we're going to just jump right into it. So the first thing that we want to talk about is early this week. I don't remember exactly what day it was, like maybe Monday, right? Kind of woke up to it, but there was a fire that started in the Notre Dame Cathedral, Notre Dame, right? That's how you say it.
Yeah.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
That's like the college that we all call it, but Notre Dame Cathedral, and it burned down the wooden roof structure on the back, so the spire, and it was just a really interesting. It was a sad thing. Brooklyn emailed me with like a picture of it, and like just sad faces, like crying emojis. And I like, it really was one of those things that it's just really sobering to see something that is such a classic symbol like being destroyed by fire or something like that.
I have a friend from BYU though who so she speaks French and she like loves France, and she made this post about how, in spite of fear of destruction, we should never be afraid to create, which I really liked her positive spin on such a terrible tragedy, that even though things may have the chance of being destroyed or, tragedy happening, we shouldn't ever be guided by fear.
Yeah.
And I really liked that.
I really liked that a lot. Notre Dame, I guess we could have pulled up a couple of facts about it, but it's like, they started building it, I think, in the 1100s, and it took over a century to complete the building, which is insane to me, because we think about sometimes the Salt Lake Temple and it took 40 years, and how just what kind of sacrifice that was. And imagine doing that, 700, 600, 700 years earlier, and it taking twice as long. And it's really interesting, especially because if we look at the Salt Lake Temple, a lot of it's actually inspired from the Gothic architecture of Notre Dame and other buildings that were built around that same time. So I just think it's just kind of sad. We listened to a lot of things about what it means to a lot of people, and especially in religious context, but then culturally, and it was just a really interesting, important event. So I thought it was something we should bring up. And then this morning we woke up, so it's Easter Sunday this morning, and we woke up and saw on the news, or I guess on our phones, we don't watch the news, but that there were bombings in Sri Lanka at Christian places of worship, and we don't know a ton about it right now, and so it's just what Brooklyn was just saying, I think, though, is so important to when we think about this. It's the idea of just because there are bad things that happen, there's fear in the world, it should not keep us from doing the things that we know that are important, like worshiping and making sure to help others around us, and really being good Christians and being good followers and disciples of Jesus Christ.
I actually didn't even know about it till we were in church and the speaker mentioned it, and I was like, what? I didn't even know about that. It's probably the worst place to find out about, something like that, because
bombings at a church.
Yeah, you're in church and you don't want to be afraid when you are worshiping, and so I just had to make the decision not to be scared and to go to church regardless. And so
yeah. I think that it's important to do that. So those are just some really current events that we want to kind of catalog and make sure that we know are happening, and kind of our feelings about them. And I think we'll learn more about the Sri Lanka bombings and stuff as it goes on. But right now, I mean, it's a couple hundred people have died, and there's a lot of people that are wounded, which is just really sad. And we will definitely be praying for those families, because it's just terrible. But kind of moving on, though, we always want to do something that we learned this week, in these talks. We want to talk about things we learned this week, and the thing that I learned, or was reminded of, I guess, is that Brooklyn is one of the wisest people in the
Let's
whole
just say
world.
I have random spurts of wisdom, and that's about it.
And usually her wisdom pops up about like 11 or 12 o'clock at night, and so it's like right before we go to bed, and so sometimes I can't appreciate her wisdom the way that we did this week though, because we drove a bunch this weekend, and Brooklyn just had some wild insights. So bring it on, Brooklyn. Tell us
Oh, am I supposed to say?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
tell us what we learned from you.
So, this is so stupid. We were just sitting in traffic, and I don't even know what brought this up. What were we?
We were in traffic. I don't know. It was not that. It's Los Angeles when we were just in traffic and it was slow.
And I think often we use the word traffic, and has a negative connotation, so it means like bad traffic. But actually, traffic is just the state of the roads, and so traffic can be good. And so when we say, "Oh man, there was traffic," we assume it means there was bad traffic, but it could actually be good traffic.
Yeah, we don't know. So if you're ever looking for excuses to like tell people why you were late, you can just say there was traffic, regardless of if there was bad traffic or good
So
traffic.
maybe you just left late, but and there was no traffic, but you're saying, "Oh, there was traffic." It's so stupid.
We don't condone lying.
It's like the Christmas song, like
But
the traffic is terrific. Gee, the traffic is terrific.
Wait, what song is it?
There's no place like home for holidays.
Okay, so I don't even know if I know that one. So.
I don't know if this qualifies as wisdom.
Okay, but the next one's pretty good. It was a good insight.
That's true. Okay, so as an artist, I'm always cognizant of my hands and protecting them. So sometimes, like I was playing volleyball with some friends, like last year or whatever, and the ball was coming and I was supposed to hit it, and like I had this last second instinct to pull my hands away because I don't want it to like come hit my hand and like burst my veins, which is like probably irrational. But I was thinking about, so when I'm a passenger in the car with Matt, sometimes I get nervous if we're like, in traffic and we're gonna hit somebody in front of us, and so I'll put my hand out in front to like, brace myself. But as an artist, you'd think that I would not want to do that and hurt my hands, but there's a stronger instinct, which is to protect our head and heart. So even though I want to protect my hands, like the natural instinct is to protect my heart and head. So
those are some of the wisdom
wisdom, D-U-M-B.
No, but those are some things we'll be more. Yeah, I just think that that's really interesting, and the fact that sometimes the things that we learn don't come from books or reading things, but just observation. Brooklyn's a great observer. She is, because she's a great artist, and that's part of it. So this week, some of the things that we did that were really fun. This weekend, we hung out with a family from the ward. Their names are the Muths. But they have been in the ward like the same time as long as we have, and we've kind of talked to them a little bit maybe, but this weekend we went and played board games with them, and they had this really cool game that I don't even know the name of now. It was like a Knights of Camelot game, but it's like a cooperative board game, which I really like, and we played some fun board games.
It took me like 45 minutes to even know what was going on. That's pretty normal for me, though.
When explaining board games, you really don't understand what's going on until you start playing anyway, so...
Like, we just wasted like half an hour explaining to me what's going on, but I'm not going to know until half an hour into the game. Anyway.
But that was really fun. And then we played the... Oh, same with what?
Oh, nothing.
Oh, we also played the Shadows in the Forest game.
Oh, yes.
Which is that one that we played with Melissa and Blake.
And they loved it.
Or that they have. And our friends really liked it. It was so fun to play. And I was the seeker. I was the little lantern. And I was doing so good the whole time. And it just started taking way long, though. So we ended up having to kind of forfeit the match in the middle. But I did pretty good. I think they did pretty good too. But it was fun. And her husband, Nathaniel, he works in animation. He does software development for certain animations of like FX. So like smoke or water or fire or sometimes like capes.
He does the math for it.
Yeah, he does the math and the coding for that kind of stuff, which is really interesting. and she's a she is a mechanical engineer, or that's what she went to school for. And so they're just really interesting people, and we like them a lot. Staying on that same vein, this was a busy weekend for us because we have about 5 friends in all of Los Angeles, and we visited 2 of them in one weekend. So the other their names are Gonzo and Haley. Actually, Gonzo's last name's Gonzalez, right?
Yeah, his real name's Chris, but he goes by Gonzo.
Like Gonzalez, but Gonzo.
Yeah.
Like the Muppet.
Like the Muppet. That's always what I think of, like the Hook Nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to school with him. Well, he studied animation. We had a couple classes together and became good friends. So
yeah, and they're really just funny, nice people. And when we go and hang out with them, we just like talk the entire time. Like we don't really do anything. We just talk, and it's awesome. It's so much fun. So
yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, we went. This actually. Oh, we'll talk about this a little later. But we had dinner with them, but he's working right now. He's working on a new Call of Duty game. Which is pretty cool. He works at Infinity Ward, and it's really interesting to talk to people that are in like gaming animation and stuff, because they are so like just hush hush about everything, like but they can't say anything about it. I mean, it's just like silent. Where Brooklyn, it's like
there's certain things I can say.
Yeah, and like we took this, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, but we took the Cub Scouts there, and they were like really open about like what's going on in this, like things, honestly. Yeah, things that you wouldn't think they'd be allowed to say that they were saying. So that's kind of interesting. But I'm excited to see what kind of games, because I love games and he loves games, and it's just fun to know people that are working on those kind of things, like people who work on movies or people who work on games. And then when it comes out, it's like, oh, I know somebody who does that. So that's kind of fun. And then so this one is actually pretty cool. I'm going to have Brooklyn talk about it.
No, I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, Brooklyn doesn't want to talk about it. Fine. Because she's so humble, she won't say this. But I think this is something that I want to talk about. But so Brooklyn we announced our pregnancy the week before last. Yeah, the week before last.
Yes.
The week before this week. So last week we announced our pregnancy. And Brooklyn put a post on Instagram, and it was like us in line work, just black and white, and then a little baby in Brooklyn's tummy, like just the cutest little baby in Brooklyn's tummy. And so she put it on Instagram, we put it on Facebook, and kind of announced it. And it's such a cute picture, but all of a sudden, like after it got a bunch of likes on her account, and then people started sharing it, and it's basically gone viral at this point. Like as far as Brooklyn's, like anything that Brooklyn's done, I mean, this far and outweighs how many people, like how many collective followers between all of the accounts that have shared it. It's reached how many people are subscribed.
I don't even know at this point.
Like at least 15 million people.
Yeah, there was an account that had 8.5 million, I think, followers. So there are a few that didn't tag me. I think like eventually the artist becomes unknown because tags get dropped and people just don't credit the artist. And so, but people will like tag me in a comment and say like, hey, this is your artwork and this person should tag you. Anyways, but yeah, it's like 15 million that I know of, and there's probably a lot more that I don't know about because people don't know who the artist is. But it's just crazy because I've never had a post that was ever like really reposted by anybody, unless like another artist wanted to feature my work, because in the art community we do that a lot, just to appreciate other artists.
But I mean, like legitimately viral, and it's been really cool to watch it go. Like, and Brooklyn's got a bunch of followers from it, and it's just it's fun. I mean, it's something that we just think is exciting and cool to talk about. Yeah, bragging on Brooklyn. That's all. Just doing some brags. And then the last thing, well, I was going to talk. I got the Hunchback of Notre Dame, inspired by the fire this week, and just kind of wanting to think about it and stuff. I got the Hunchback of Notre Dame on Audible to listen to, and immediately I was like, there's no way that I can listen to this. I got it unabridged, and it's a translation, and it's Victor Hugo, and he's very wordy and very descriptive, and I was like, I don't think I can focus on this well enough to listen to it. But after just a second, I started really getting into it, and it's really, really interesting. when you think about the way they're talking, and he writes it really well. So if you guys want, log into my Audible and start listening to it. Well, I need to get a little farther along, I guess, but you guys can start listening to it. It did make me think. Well, I'll talk about this a little later, actually, instead. So it's amazing what they did then compared to what we do now. But so moving on to our baby update. Our little baby girl is 21 weeks along, and Brooklyn is showing pretty good. She can't suck her belly in.
Nope. There's definitely a bump there.
There is a baby. There's a baby in her body, so which is pretty cool. The app that we're using to track it says that it's the size of an eggplant, which is like that's pretty big. And then, but it gives like 3 comparisons. It's like a type of food, a type of vegetable, and a type of, or like an animal that it's the size
right.
of.
Well, and like sweets or something.
Oh,
so it's like the size of a pie.
It's
like, what does that even mean?
Which is like, what does that, how is it the size of a pie? Is it like a little alien? The animal was a Maltese puppy.
It's like,
so
what?
not a Maltese, but a Maltese puppy. So I don't know exactly how you
like, how old is that
the
puppy?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what?
But it's little and it's there and it's growing. We're really excited. So everything's good. I think we have a doctor's appointment this weekend, actually, or next week. I'm not sure, but pretty soon. So we'll get some more information on that. So moving on to things that we have tried or seen, or our opinion segment, I guess. It is so this weekend, Brooklyn's part of the ASIFA organization, which is the people who vote for the Annie Awards, and they give us free showings. I think they do give us free showings. I don't think
like
that.
all
I know
animated
they do that, but basically
movies.
any animated movies that come out, you can sign up and go see them for free. And we went to the movie Missing Link
by Lanka.
By Leica. So that's Leica is the animation studio that did that. They did like Coraline and Kubo and the Two Strings,
Box Trolls,
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
So I was like, I started with like some of the most like obscure ones, and then Nightmare Before Christmas. So kind of they're the stop motion,
Tim Burton,
kind of Tim Burton, freaky looking. Some of their models are freaky, but this one was a little more mainstream, and it was pretty good. We liked it.
Yeah, the world building is beautiful.
Oh, the environments are.
Sometimes our stories
insane.
aren't as good, but.
Yeah, and the story was like pretty mediocre, but it was fun enough that we would at least, what would we give it out of 10?
Like a 7.
7, yeah. It was good. It was good. We liked it a little. Yeah, it's kind of funny. But a really cool thing about this was it was held in a theater in this private theater at the Academy of Motion Pictures. So like the Academy Awards Academy, like when they thank the Academy, it was like at that place or one of their like offices and stuff. And so it was really cool. Like you walk in and there's tons of security there, which was like weird because usually when we go to these things, it's like pretty chill, but lots of security. And like as you walk down the halls, there's the like pictures of like scenes from movies, and you walk past the doors that are like the film archive, where they keep all of the films and stuff, and
they have like giant statues of the Oscar award
like the statue. And
cool.
It was just a really cool place and kind of a cool experience to be like, oh, look at us being all fancy in this in this animation industry. It's like something that's like I never even would have expected to do something like that. And so it was really fun and a decent movie, so that's fun. The other thing, so we ate out this weekend, and where we ate out, well, we went to California Pizza Kitchen, which, I mean, it's kind of chained, so we're not going to talk about that a lot. I like it. It was kind of like I like this, so we'll go there. Brooklyn had never been, I don't think.
No,
right?
I've been.
Brooklyn had been. So we have nothing to talk about with that. But this other place, though, is when we were at Haley and Gonzo's, they said that there was this place that, like a fried chicken place close by. And we're like, oh yeah, that sounds good. And they didn't really talk about it, but basically when we got there, it's like they come at night at 7:00, they open up, and and it's
from like Wednesday to Saturday.
Wednesday to Saturday. It's like this pop-up fried chicken stand where they pull out all of these like they have these portable deep fryers with propane tanks, and they fry chicken and they make chicken sandwiches and chicken nuggets and stuff, but they do it at a car wash. like it's behind a car wash. So the car wash closes and then they like open. And it's like
so weird.
As we were waiting in line to like order, there was like a puddle of antifreeze, and it's like, I don't know how I feel about this, but the food was awesome.
It was so good.
Yeah,
it's delicious.
And it was like just these kind of hot sandwiches or hot chicken. What we got were chicken sandwiches, like a Nashville hot chicken sandwich is kind of what they say, or I think Nashville style or Nashville hot, I think is what. But basically, it has some honey on it and or you can get it with honey and cheese and pickles, and it was really good, and we liked that a lot. So that was pretty fun, especially waiting, like driving into a car wash to get it. So unique experience, definitely. And then the last thing we watched a movie this weekend. A movie that Brooklyn had never seen before. And I think that you guys, most of us have seen it, who's going to listen to this. But it's Master of Disguise. And I just quote it. I quote it every once in a while, fairly frequently. And recently I had quoted it, and Brooklyn's like, what is that? And I was like, oh, I'm not even going to tell you. We're just going to watch it because I think it's such a funny movie. And so I'll have Brooklyn say, what do you think about Master of Disguise?
It was awesome. Definitely, I missed out as a kid.
It's pretty dumb, but there's certain things that are just like, man, that is so funny. And I play games with David Jellin a lot, and he quotes it almost every night. And so anyway, we love that. So if you guys are looking for something just kind of dumb funny to watch again sometime, I mean,
on Hulu.
Yeah, it's on Hulu. That's where we watched it. I'm sure it might be on Netflix and stuff, but we haven't checked. So anyway, that was just kind of one of the movies we watched, and it was pretty funny. But so that's basically what we did this week. We really enjoyed it, and it was like a really fun week to it was just a good week. So, but now that, we just want to end, I guess, by talking a little bit about Easter, because Easter is something that's really important to us. At church today, I mean, they talked a lot about Christ and about the Easter story, and during the week we read about in Come Follow Me about some of the Easter stuff, and I just want to say that I am so glad that Christ died and was resurrected for us, that we have the ability to change and to repent and to be able to be forgiven for things that we know we could do better with and for our sins, and eventually go back to our Heavenly Father, because that's what it's all about, and that's why we're here. And so to remember that reminder at Easter that we should always be revisiting that story. And I think we do a lot, but I know that atonement is what's going to help us, or the atonement is going to be what helps us get back to our Heavenly Father.
And I just kind of want to go back to what I was saying before about the bombings and about the fire and just how we conduct our lives and the kind of faith that we have versus the fear that may dominate. And I was just reminded today in church about how we can have that faith and we don't have to be afraid. We can have this knowledge that no matter what happens, that Christ has overcome everything for us, and that he did rise on the third day, and that we can hold on to that, and we don't have to be cowering in fear our whole lives. And I'm just really grateful for that.
Yeah. So yeah, with that, we love you guys, and hope you enjoy this, because it's important to us, these things, and we enjoy recording these, and it's important to us, and to know what's going on, and to talk about this and kind of keep it in our minds. So anyway, we love you, and we'll see you next week.
Love you.
Probably next week. Bye.